All right, you're welcome back. Just like I said before that short break, security is everybody's issues. Some will still think it's business of the government, the security agencies, which is fair, by the way. But when you look at the bigger picture, it is everybody's duty. But then there are agencies, personnel that are, saddled with responsibility of law enforcement, protection of human lives and properties. But then when you see that issues bordering around this insecurity is still festering, worsening as what we are seeing right now, it will give anybody, a worrying state of mind, disturbing, just to say the least, and that's what we have been seeing. Kidnappings, banditry, terrorist activities here and there. And just a few days ago, like 3-4 days ago, in the town of Goza in Borno State, northeastern part of Nigeria, there were multiple suicide bombing. One would say this is not new, but then we've not really been having these for a couple of years, and many persons, just like I said earlier, are we back to the 2014-15 era, when terrorists ran wild in our nation, especially the northeastern part of the country, when they hoisted their flags and they were wreaking havoc on the people, because this was how it started. Just like I said, the banditry, kidnappings, abductions are still going on. Evelyn read it in the papers the other time about a family that had been kidnapped and the firstborn killed. And those criminals are asking them to bring 300 million naira. These are the issues. In Goza, it was a tale of ruins and woes. And then we learned that it happened simultaneously. First, it happened at a wedding ceremony of a suicide bomber who was with a baby. These were the words of survivors. And then she detonated IEDs. Bomb blasts happened in that place. And then the next one was at a wedding ceremony. Suicide bomber detonated. People were killed as well. And just at the burial ceremony, burial rather, not a ceremony, of the people that died, suicide bomber was there, at the burial. You could see how devious that act was. Another bomb went off by suicide bomber. 3 in the same day in the town of Goza. And many persons are wondering what is going on here. To shed more light into this for us, we have been joined by Dr. CHUKS. Dr. Maha is a security practitioner, expert, and of course, an analyst. He joins us, virtually this morning. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us.
Well, Femi, it's a pleasure of mine to be with you. Good morning, and good morning again to you, Evelyn.
Thank you very much. I guess you had my introduction. Let me ask: are you concerned? Because when suicide bomber detonates, not just in a place, 3 times in a day, coordinated attacks. Are you sure we are not back to the 2014-15 era, Doctor? I'm just being paranoid.
Femi, I will not say we are back to that per se, but I've always said it. Governments come, governments go. We've always played with the issue of security, treating security with kids' gloves. Now, when it comes to other issues here in Nigeria, the Senate rises up and begins to fight here, there, pursue this, pursue that. Now we are talking about security. Nobody says anything till it affects one of them. It leaves the masses down, totally naked and exposed. We said earlier at the beginning of the program, the business of security is not just anybody's business, but everybody's business. The bane of government anywhere in the world, and Nigeria is not an exception, is the provision of security for its citizenry. If the citizens are not secured, we cannot do anything. The government can't function, the economy will not develop, will not grow, investment will disappear. So we all need security. So I think if you tell me, based on what happened a few days ago, my own personal analysis is that this is a reminder, a call for the government to wake up. 3 things happen at the same time in one particular state in the town. No, there's something wrong somewhere. These hoodlums are no spirits. They live with and amongst us. The issue of fear is very much amongst the people. They are afraid to report what's going on because of safety to their lives. Secondly, they don't have what it takes to defend and protect themselves. I'll stop here for now. Thank you.
And, just like you said, It was, you don't really need an all-time expert to tell you these were coordinated attacks. And you have just said maybe it's a reminder that we are not yet clear with what we are seeing. Suicide bombing. Well, let me ask you, doctor, you know, for somebody, survivors said the first suicide bomber was a woman, and in which somebody said they even saw her begging for alms at some point, and she was with a baby. Let me ask, what will make a man or a woman want to kill him or herself? And, you know, not just an individual, 3 times, 3 people. Now, you might want to say 4, because there was an innocent baby involved, according to report. What we want to feel, you know, that idea for somebody to agree to, you know, to just kill himself or kill herself and kill others along as well. And what message or messages are these criminals passing? Because 3 times in a town, in a state, that is not coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with you. First and foremost, I hate to say this. We have failed as a people. We've failed as a nation. The clergies have failed as our religious bodies, where we all believe that life itself has no value in Nigeria. Why do I say this? You go to the mosque, you go to the church. We don't talk about the value of human life. That's 1. 2, society itself, we have no value for life. We see corpses along the road. Nobody cares. Nobody asks questions. The value of life is meaningless in this country of ours today. We see more corpses on the road than in any other part of the world, apart from where the war is going on. Now, to me, personally, it's my own personal opinion, unless there's legislation, punitive legislation, that will say you cannot take a life and get away with it. There's not like plea bargain. In fact, our lawyers too are making a mess of these things. They come together. If you have a client, is taking someone's life, then let him face the wrath of the law. And that's it. So, to me, personally, again, like I said, I think government should come down, sit down. This is what the Senate should sit down to do for the next 2 weeks. What are we going to do concerning security? If we're going to have a confab for that, so be it. But let us talk security for 2 weeks in the Senate. Nothing else. They shouldn't debate on any other thing. And let us come with stringent laws. 1, we don't have enough law enforcement agents to go around in the country. That's 1. 2, are we going to start thinking inwards to say, okay, fine. If you're eligible, go and have your own private arms. I've said this before. We shouldn't kid ourselves. Part of the things you mentioned on the news today, on the what the people say, is the issue of infiltration of arms. If arms are registered, we know who has what, and that you will now be able to think twice before you attack a community. 1, the only thing, there will be a prohibition of certain arms you cannot carry in your private capacity. If A knows that B is protected, A would never try to attack B. That is 1. 2, C too will think twice of doing anything of ganging up against A or B, because he knows they know that these people are probably armed. That's my own take. Secondly, again, too, people should be taught security. There should be a sense of security consciousness among the people. Let the people know they have a right for self-protection from the states, and also they have a right to protect themselves from any form of aggression from anybody. If this is in case and in place, then I tell you, there will be a change in our society. There will be a change in the way things begin to happen in Nigeria. And I can assure you, there will be a better thing for us all.
Right.
All right, Dr. CHUKS, you know, Borno is one state that people think have relatively enjoyed peace for a while now until this. We know that Borno used to be a hot center, you know, years back, but for some time it has really enjoyed a relative peace. Although no team or no group has claimed responsibility for this attack, but in your own view, what do you think is happening to Borno at this time? Do you think a particular group is behind these attacks at this time, and why do you think so?
It might not be a group. It could just be a bunch of individuals trying to foment some form of instability in the government of the day. It may not be any of the known groups, whether ISIS or any of the splinter groups
are you
at
saying
all. It could be one or two individuals. It may not be, like I said. We're not sure. And we have various agencies looking into it. You have the NIA, GIA, you have the DSS there. You also have a subsect of the Army, DMI. We have so many agencies. But are we encouraging these agencies to do the needful? And if we get this information, what do we do with this information? That is the second thing government should begin to think about. We gather information. But what use is this information put into? It's another thing entirely. But I need to say here clearly, there's a lot of economic hardship in Nigeria. People are disgruntled. People have no succor anywhere. They are down and out. And you ask yourself, what is there? Is there any reason why you should further live on? So if you meet such a person and dangle 10,000 naira or 100,000, I say, okay, you know what? I'm going to give this to your dependents. You do this for me. The person will gladly take it. Especially when the person cannot reason, when the person has been brainwashed. And that's why I said our religious clerics are not helping out at all. People do not have any place to go to talk about their problems, to say, this is happening to me, I'm facing that. Not too long ago, a lady committed suicide in Lagos. Why? Economic depression. So what I'm trying to say here, in a nutshell, we need to look inwards. There are other factors that are giving rise to this, other than what we are seeing. If the governments of the day, local, state, and federal, can look inward to say, what is the basic minimum we can give to human beings who don't have what it takes to survive? I assure you, suicide bombing will become a thing of the past.
Okay, so are you saying that this attack might be political? Because you talked about that it might not be a group, it might just be some individuals who have come together to disrupt the government of the day. So are you insinuating that this attack might be a political move by some group of individuals?
It's my personal opinion. I believe it's political.
You believe it's political?
Yes, I believe so, to create some element of stability in the governance of Borno State. It can't happen. 3 places, 3 different locations in the same place at the same time. No, think about it. It's political. It just cannot just be coincidental like that.
All right, just before Femi comes right in, 3 bombings attack, 1 at a wedding, at a hospital, and at a funeral, all done by females, 3 women. One of them carrying a child, detonated the bomb and it went off. Now the question is, why the women? I want to think, I don't want to believe, but I want to think, is this connected with some of the kidnappings that have occurred years back, where we had a lot of females kidnapped by kidnappers? Are they being used by this group for this heinous act?
Okay, I'll help you out. Yes and no. Yes and no. If you are a victim of kidnap and you've been incarcerated for so long a time, you give up. You give up on your father, your parents, you give on the state. In other words, you've been abandoned. So you feel psychologically that, yes, nobody thinks of you. And based on the rage inside you, you want to take it out on the very people whom you thought loved you, whom you thought should have protected you. And that will give rise for a possible, thought towards that line to say, you know what? I'm going to deal with these guys for having allowed them to deal with me. Taking out revenge. So it becomes very easy, they become subtle to be able to be talked into, to be psyched into taking such acts against the state, against the people whom they once belonged to. Yes, that's one. 2, secondly, for women, per se, I'm not trying to put a generalization per se, but if you can convince a woman, if you can, which is very difficult, once you can convince a woman to carry out a particular act, once she's convinced, there's no going back. Or like a man who could probably chicken out much later, will give you some thought. If you're able to convince a woman, which is more difficult to do than a man, once she accepts it, there's no going back.
All right. So the use of these females are also very strategic.
Strategic, yes.
All right.
They put them, they keep to brainwash them continuously, putting certain ideas into their head and ensuring they ingest it and it's part of them, and they then push them out.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to do that on women. But when you succeed, there's no going back.
Yeah, Dr. Maha, I tried to ask these, and let me ask you this way again, this question. What kind of ideology, at what point does it, you have talked about the socio-economic factor, failure of the society, failure of leadership, but let's talk to ideology, because you talked about conviction of these individuals, in this case, women. At what point does it get to that level that somebody, so that is not easy. You agree with me, no matter the level of poverty. But how does it go to that level of being, do I say indoctrinated, brainwashed, or encouraged? And a human being, we agree, to carry out these this fact, I mean, this bad act. You know, some have said, could he be religious? And you see many religious leaders, especially Islamic scholars, say this is not Islamic. This is not the way it's supposed to be. These are just individuals camouflaging, you know, and wreaking this havoc under religion. Is it an educational thing, or, you know, just, you know, school me and, you know, tell the people, how does it work, this indoctrination? Because I'm not sure it will be like a woman, I mean, a man win a woman to say, okay, I like you, let us be in a relationship. It's far beyond that. You are not just only killing yourself, like a woman that was said, killed herself, killed the baby, for a mother to agree to kill her baby, you know, and carry others along as well. That's not just a mere, you know, conviction. How does it work? You as an expert.
Okay. Well, I am not a psychiatrist. I don't practice, right. What you might call it human. Well, a bit of psychology, yes. But let me tell you, let's start from this point of view now. When a person has nothing else again in life to look forward to, when a person is shielded from the rest of society, you're not allowed to mix with anybody. You are kept in an exclusive, secluded place. So you don't meet with any other person except people of like minds like yourself. Where you're deprived of everything, you're not allowed to think. Maybe because you lack the academic, intellectual ability to think, all that is taken away from you, and you're now reduced to a thing and not to a human being. You're reduced down to that level. You are told you are nothing. You are told you owe us this. You are told if you don't do this, we are going to afflict this on the rest of the extended family. And you don't want that to happen to your family. And you say, well, I have nothing to lose. It's just one life. If I go, probably my family will be better off. And you have made certain promises which to the normal person know that can never be fulfilled. Certain promises, oh, we'll do this, you get that. When you get down there, I mean, so much, blah, 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 that's it. But whatever it is, they are usually indoctrinated, they are threatened, they are blackmailed, and every other thing you put together, all mixed up in one pot of soup, and you're giving to them, and of course they go like a zombie. At the point they're doing this thing, they are in no control of their self. That's one thing I want you to know. All over the world. You have suicide bombers all over the world, not just in Nigeria. Not Muslims and not Christians. They're all over. Whether Christians or Muslims, you have all of them all over the world. The only thing is that because we're seeing the peculiarity of the people here in Nigeria, and they come from the northern part, so we think they are Muslims oriented. No. The truth of the matter is that the average guy in the southern part of Nigeria knows the value of enjoyment of life. He believes that once there's life, there's hope. But when you introduce somebody to tell the person that, no, this is how you were, this is what is going to happen to you, you cannot change from who you are now. So you think everything is lost. And that's why we need to say government should create facilities, agencies where people can go to, psychologists who can move around, you might call them counselors in local governments who will go out to talk to the people. Tell them if you need somebody to talk with, you can come down here, come and talk. People are pained, but there's nobody to share their pains with. It's not a question of dressing up well, putting a smile on your face. No. You'd be amazed that so many people who we see on the streets are pained. And they can easily be indoctrinated if you can pick them up, and you'll be ready to do anything. All right.
And quickly, I will be asking this because I remember 2013-14 era when, you know, the issues 2012, 14, 15, before that 2015 elections, you know, when the issue of terrorism, you know, was, you know, very rife, and the Yanya bombings, the Catholic Church bombing in Niger State, many of those issues, there were advocacies and, you know, things that were said by security agencies, government, that things to look out for in a suicide bomber. I remember they said if you see someone that usually will not scrape his head, that these are some of what they do now with a scraped head, you know, carrying backpacks, sometimes sweating profusely when there is no heat. You know, these are signs, might be signs, you know, of suicide bombers. Do you still think we should look out for these as well? But, you know, some of these questions and more, you will be answering it. That will be after this break. Dr. Maha, please kindly hold on. We want to go on this break. We'll be back.